Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us. We want to get started with quick intros of who on the NICEM team is on this call, and then we'll jump into some frequently asked questions. We want to open the floor, though, mainly to you all as you're applying for strengthening communities to ask the questions. So let me do intros and then we'll jump in. So my name is Mariah Washington. I'm the Director of Community Engagement. And so I'm part of the team and we're leading the strengthening communities efforts as we go into cohort 3.
I'll go next. Hi, everyone. My name is Emily Rodriguez. I'm the Community Engagement Program Manager. Thank you for joining us during this lunch chat and look forward to answering your questions today.
Hi, everyone. I'm Sanasa Kaba, and I get to serve as the Community Engagement Specialist here at NICEM. And again, thank you for joining us, and hopefully we answer all of your questions today.
And Jill?
Hi, everybody. I'm Jill Cornell. I'm a Community Engagement Specialist specializing in outreach for strengthening communities.
So before we jump in, we want to I know some of your names are not super familiar, meaning we didn't see you in the information session. So this won't serve as a full-blown information session. We've been pushing out those recordings. This is definitely a time to ask clarifying questions based on that application. One thing that we said in both of our information sessions is we need quality applications. We need you all to put in as much information that the slot will allow you to. Basic things like who is your point of contact? What is the name of your network and coalition? These things are sometimes forgotten. We will not be going on the internet to do Google searches on your network and coalition. We will be reviewing based on the actual application. So keep that in mind as you are filling out this application, that we are not doing extra research on you because we're trying to be as unbiased as possible throughout this process. So before we open it up for questions, one thing that has come our way is, what's the best way to share the general information about our network? So Emily, what should networks be putting in when they are describing themselves?
So if you were all not able to join us for our information session, we define a network as a hub of 4 to 5 organizations at minimum. So if you and your community, let's select East Elmhurst, I'm being a little biased because that's where I'm from, have an organization that's based on social services, but you're interconnected with 4 to 5 other neighboring organizations in the community, and you guys have a monthly or a weekly meeting, that's what we consider a network. It can also be a faith-based organization, so to the same concept. If you're in a particular borough, zip code, and you're interconnected with other faith-based organizations in your community, that will make you a faith-based organization and network that qualifies for the program.
And as you apply for these components, we want you to put the who is your network and coalition made of, the what is the mission, what have been the actions, and the how, like what is the approach that your network and coalition is taking. This is not a time to be very concise. This is a time to give us the details. Again, we will not be going to the internet to find additional information about your coalition or network. We're relying completely on what you submit to us. Now, are there any open questions that you all have?
I definitely do.
Okay.
Because Ivory's Girls and Boys, we do work in the community and we do network with, we work within 5 boroughs. We haven't like narrowed it down to one coalition, I would say, but we have a lot of like collaboratives, like, that we work with community partners as far as clothing, as far as food pantries, as far as, schools, and maybe we can shelter in place in a school. You know what I'm saying? So we're mostly in schools, right? But we do have partnerships with other people in the community as well. Churches. I'm not quite sure how often we do meet, but would that disqualify us?
What we want to know is that you know how to meet. So
definitely.
In the application, we say that you meet at least 4 times a year, quarterly. It
Okay.
may be that you have bi-monthly meetings. It may be that you have every 3 months of meetings, but we need you to communicate as clear as
So
possible.
all four collectively, right? Like so if I have those four coalitions, like including myself and those other three people, I should say, or groups of them. So it will have to be us just four meeting collectively on one set object. That's what you're trying to say, right?
Yes, ma'am. And
Oh,
because you mentioned that you're in multiple communities, for
right.
this, for strengthen communities, for this cycle, we need you to focus on one community. We don't want you to apply, and we know that you are doing great work in multiple different communities. We need you to focus on one community. That community might be defined by you, however you choose, based on a zip code, based on a community board district, based on a school board district. But we can't have you apply for Parkchester, Bronx, and Washington Heights. We need you to focus on one community.
Okay. And within that one community, the four people that we meet with, it doesn't have to be like the same meeting, with the same agenda in each meeting, or you get what I'm saying? Because so when we meet, I would say each community has so many different departments. It's like, organizations that we partner with, because it's mental health, it's so much. So
It sounds like you're describing something like a community school where there's there's one lead organization and there's multiple organizations that play a part. What we need to know and what we want you to be comfortable with is you're going to be doing some very quick and heavy deliverables. We need to know that you are able to meet. And when I'm speaking to you, this is for everybody on the call. We need to know that the network knows how to convene. We need to know and trust that you are able to take the necessary steps to get deliverables completed. What we have seen as not best practices is the opposite of where, there's one person who is small, mighty, and powerful doing all the work, and then is struggling with convening the other groups. That doesn't serve you or the network or the community well. That's not how our program is designed. So that's for everybody on this call. We want to know that you know how to meet, and you need to articulate that. It may be that you meet, and we want you to be honest, because this is all about integrity as well. Are you meeting monthly? Are you meeting quarterly? Are you meeting bi-monthly? You might be meeting, we meet primarily between August and May. That's totally fine. What's the frequency of that for us to know that you already have that rapport that's needed to complete these deliverables?
thank you.
You're welcome. I see, I think it's Aram.
Yeah, hi, good morning, good afternoon. So my question is that I got it that you want to focus on one community, and we can make a collision of organizations borough-wide or city-wide, borough-wide, right? We can make, like, if we are based in Brooklyn and we have expertise in Brooklyn and have, the clients or the members we are serving in Brooklyn, we can specifically target only on the Brooklyn-based coalition of organizations. So my question is that, is it necessary that one or two of the member of the coalition organization should have a prior experience of working as an emergency preparedness CBO or not, or somebody completely fresh but wanted to work in a particular community, in a particular geographical region, can still apply for this?
This is the joy of our program, Strengthen Communities. We want people who know how to do great work in the community. We don't need you to have any previous experience of how to do emergency preparedness or having done emergency response or any type of recovery. What we do know is that many of you have already responded to emergencies via major fires, via COVID-19, and that's okay. But if you're like, we have no experience with it, that's totally fine. That's why we need and want you to be a part of this program.
Got it. Even if we have done a lot of work during the COVID-19 pandemic about vaccines and outreach and all those food distributions and everything. So that is like, the work is already there, but specific in terms of disaster recovery and management, we have not done that great level or big level of work. But as you're saying, and what I understood is that we can still apply and work in coalition and partnership with other community-based organizations, correct?
Yes. And I want to positively and softly say, you must apply, because you are exactly who we want and need. And we want you to not just think I only need to talk about when I helped with COVID-19. We want to hear about the great work that you've done and what keeps your coalition going. So if it's focused around social services, then tell us about the social service work that you do. Don't just simplify it and say, we provide food services. We have a food pantry open every Thursday. Give us more. Are you providing mental health? Are you providing spiritual care? Are you doing workforce development? So we want and need you to be as detailed and clear as possible, and do not box in and assume that we know anything about your network.
Sounds good. One follow-up, another question is that in this coalition, can we also do subcontract with other coalition members, or just a one organization can be the grantee of this funding?
So we will only contract with one lead organization of the coalition and network. How you choose to subcontract within your network, we will have no parts of it. That being said,
Okay.
if you're the lead applicant applying, you will be the person we're contracting with. You will be the person that we send the money directly to.
Sounds good. Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
Absolutely. And I see Miss Young.
Yes, yes.
ma'am.
Hi, nice meeting you. My name is Yang. I sent an email earlier. I was not in the information session, but I would like to clarify a couple of things, including the timeline of the project. So, I just want to clarify what is the starting date of the project, also the final date that we need to start the writing the final report.
Okay, absolutely. Thank you for that question. So we do start January of 2023. More than likely, it will be a mid-January start. And for your first year of programming with us to establish a community emergency plan, it's from January to the end of June of 2023. However, after you finish your community emergency plan, our program is designed for you to continue with us until the money runs dry, which is not in sight. So for the next 2, 3, 4, 5 years, the vision is that you are doing sustainable work around that community emergency plan. You're providing preparedness culture within your community, and you're staying ever connected with us. And so the sustainment funding is $10,000 each year after you do the first year of the community emergency planning.
I see. So the $40,000 grant will cover the first round, which is a 6 months period.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, 6 months period, and then after the progress, the monitoring, then will be decided whether there will be funding will be expended or not.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Great. Thank you for the clarification. My second question is again about the definition of the community. We largely serve the Asian families who have a children with disability. Two exclusive language group is the Korean and Mandarin. That group includes more than 1,000 families, and then some of them live outside of Queens, but majority of them they live in Queens. The Congressional District 6 area, which is a northern Queens area. So if it's okay to, because we are talking about the really the community group. So is it okay to identify the family with the majority of people is also the persons with the disability and their families, and who really do not have any type of emergency preparedness the training whatsoever for any time as I remember. So through New York City, so we try to include these families in the project, but we're trying to figure it out if it is okay to include the two language group, but residing within the defined community in the Queens area.
Yes, that is okay to identify the two language groups as well as the two different communities that you're targeting. What we want to do though to alleviate the pressure, when you start doing the work, you may see that, we're going to focus on community board. I know you didn't say this, community board 14. Let's focus on that for these deliverables. And when we get to a comfortable place, we will add a second community. Or it could be that you're like, no, we have the ability to do both at one time. We primarily want to know what will be the primary community that you absolutely will focus on. We don't want to overwhelm you because it will be a fast pace. And so we know you can't have the exact same thing for two different communities because, as we all know, like there's just different needs. And so that's the piece that we want to try to avoid for the first cycle of programming.
Great. Thank you so much for the answer. My last question is about the again about the money. So is it going to be like the voucher base, such as after we spending let's say 6 months period, and I'm talking about the first year if we are selected, after 6 months later we sending out the bill to your department and then the process the billing, or how it's going to work out in terms of the contract after reimbursement, after the project is done.
So for the first year of programming, what will happen is right now,
Mhm.
we are going to have you all work towards completing deliverables, and you'll get the large lump sum of $40,000 at the end of the program in the month of June. You'll submit the invoice to our vendor. That vendor will disperse funding directly to you. Once we are able to simplify some things that we're working on, by the time you do the second year, you'll be receiving payment per deliverable completion. So you'll get money along the way. And so for this cycle, we are going to have to wait to the end of programming in the month of June and then disperse funding.
I guess today said the invoice means that that includes the payroll, the journals.
Well, so for us,
Mhm.
when we say invoice, it's you just submitting that you've completed all the deliverables, and then we pay for
I
those
see.
deliverables. Yes,
Okay,
ma'am.
just like the voucher program, the invoice that we created for the program, I guess.
Correct.
Okay, great. Thank you so much.
Are there any other questions?
One more question about the deliverables. What would they consist of?
That's the mapping resource directory is 1. The needs assessment is 2. The communication strategies is 3. 4 is managing donations and volunteers. And the 5th one is putting all those together and establishing the community emergency plan.
Okay. Thank you.
Something else, Emily, Sanasa, and I are 3 of the 5 reviewers. Something else that we did agree is that even if you have already applied and you're on the call and you want to add something different, then we will take your best application, meaning you can resubmit. If you've already submitted and you're like, I want to make changes, you can submit the new application and we will honor the newest application. We are not able to go through the applications and provide active feedback. So that was why we kind of held this time for you to ask these questions. We'll share the recording with you all as well. We encourage you to listen through. You might not want to see the video, but just listen to the audio of the information sessions because there were some great questions asked there as well. And Emily, Sanasa, are there other things that we need to raise up as reminders that we've kind of seen trends of?
And I just wanted to mention, while you're filling out the application, to be as detailed as possible. The more detailed you are, the more we know about your community organization, and we'll be able to go through them and then let you know if you get selected or not.
I do have another question, right? Because you're saying that what type of emergency plan we have in place, right? So would it be fair if we just put like more than just like mental not housing, what I'm saying is like mental preparedness, like mental health and mental, because we do a lot with mental awareness and stuff, like, how to keep people like from being anxious or being suicidal or being aggressive, you know what I mean? And then we also provide services like clothing. Then we also provide services such as food. And so when you're saying, does that have to be like the primary focus of our CBOs? It could be all of a variety of things that we do discuss and that we do provide.
Right. You don't need to list anything about emergency preparedness, response, or recovery. That does not need to be anything a part of your mission at all. Our target is that you're doing great work in the community. You're providing the mental health component or de-escalation best practices. But while you're enrolled with us, you're committing to integrate community emergency planning into the culture of your network, which is made of multiple member organizations. And while you're partnered with us, you're committed to establishing this culture of preparedness with the people you serve and the specific community that you communicate to us. So we absolutely do not want you to say, I don't do any of this, so I can't apply. That's why we designed it. We are tapping you on the shoulder and saying, you're doing this great work. Are you able to commit to this other piece so that when the next emergency happens, you have a plan in place that you socialize with others and they are comfortable with utilizing this plan and you all are able to bounce back with even greater resilience than you already have.
Okay. That was good clarity for me because I was gonna put that on the application, like, you know, like, because there was that one time in, I don't know if anyone remembers in Co-op City when it was like the lights had went out and, like, you know, several people had elderly people couldn't, you know, get up the stairs. I think one time the elevator was broken or something like that. And the CEO of our organization, she just ran to a place and said, hey, we need some fried chicken, like, you know, like, and get the people, like, she just rounded up a bunch of folks and like, let's give out food for the children and stuff, you know what I mean? So I thank you for this. This is helping me a lot. Thank you. So I
Yes.
can know what to bring back to her. Thank
And
you.
we want you to also list examples of work, of project and events that you've had in the community as well. So I know you could say, and this is for everyone, like, oh, we provide immigration services, or we provide mental health services, or spiritual care, whatever it may be. We also want you to list out some examples of community events that you've done to pull in the folks in a powerful, meaningful way. It could have been virtually, or it could have been in person. So don't write it off. Again, don't assume that we're going to go. We cannot go on the internet and Google you. We cannot go on social media and look you up because we're trying to be as fair as possible and keep the process competitive.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you.
Would there be any other questions? I know there's a couple of other folks in the room too.
So I have another question. Sorry, I don't know if you have covered it or not, about the reimbursement process. If the CBO is selected, how the reimbursement is going to work?
There's no reimbursement. There's just a disbursement of funding. We're gonna pay you at the end of June for all the 5 deliverables. We're not asking you to pay anything up front. Your lead person might be already on payroll. They might already be a volunteer. So how you choose to use that $40,000 at the end of June, after you've completed all deliverables, is going to be at your discretion. We're not going to manage that piece.
Okay, sounds good. Thank you.
You're welcome.
I have a question, please. This is Mari. I have a question. After the first year, will there be a possibility of resubmitting for the grant?
You won't need to resubmit. After the first year, you're grandfathered in and you get to opt in or opt out. We say, all right, it's sustainment year 1 for you. You're going to receive $10,000. Here are the 3 deliverables. Here are the 2 deliverables. Are you able to commit? You say yes or no, and then we keep it moving. If you opt out year 1, it will come back to you the next year. Do you want to come back? You can opt in or opt out. So there's never going to be a time as of now where you have to reapply after you get into the program.
My question is, will there be another cycle of people to apply for this?
Yes. So this
after
is for
this, you know, first year or the first 6 months.
So this is cohort 3. So this is the 3rd year of programming. In the summertime/fall of 2023, we will have another cycle for cohort 4. So if you are on the call and you're saying this is great, but we're not ready for it, come back to us and apply in the summer/fall of next year.
Thank you so very much.
I see a hand from Brian, and then we'll go with Project New Yorker.
Hi, I'm wondering if we'll have to submit a budget for this, and are we restricted on how we use the funding in terms of personnel or OTPS or indirect costs?
We do not want to see your budget. We don't need to see your budget. And there are no restrictions on how you choose to utilize the funds. We've had some cool best practices. Some folks have used it to fund youth organizers. The actual youth have done the work of the community mapping and keeping that a living document. Others have been able to actually pay a volunteer that, you know, they wanted to say thank you to, that has done so much. Other people have used it to rent out a food truck to get food to deliver it back to their community. So we do not monitor how you use the funds. We will reach out and ask how you use the funds just to try to gather some more best practices. Project New York.
Hi, good afternoon. My name is Safraz. I'm a community health worker at Project New Yorker. A question that we had for this project is that I know you mentioned earlier that you want us to really stay in a specific neighborhood and specify our focuses. So like what you're thinking is like, target like 1 or 2 zip codes that are next to each other or like one specific neighborhood. Like just want to get a feel for how wide you want our outreach, our plan to be for.
It really depends on what you have it for. Haitian American Alliance, they're located in Flatbush. Their target populations are Haitian Americans in the Flatbush area who also might overflow in some of the bedside area. So in that, we know that their plan targets a specific community and we did not object to it. Whereas we had a group, South Bronx Emergency Network, their target community is Community Board 3 in the Bronx, which is a lot bigger. So you can define it as 3 blocks. You could define it as a specific population in the greater part of a certain section in Queens, Manhattan, or Brooklyn. So we don't want to limit it and push you to thinking you have to do this big amount of space, because if you define community in a lot more smaller, intimate way, that's still as powerful and meaningful for us.
Okay, thank you for the examples as well. Really answered my questions. Thank you.
Okay, so the first question, would photos of previous work enhance the application or is that necessary? We love photos. If you want to submit photos, great. Will you be penalized if you don't submit photos? Absolutely not. The more the merrier. We did have a space in the application for you to attach any additional information. So if that's something that you desire, by all means, please include it in your application. And then for emergency management organizations like East Harlem COAD, do we want the grant narratives to focus more on the work we've already done or the new things that could be done as part of the program? You can focus the narrative of what you've done, and you can also include, if you want to, information on where you want to go. That's totally okay. And that's also open for all of you, especially for folks who may not have that emergency preparedness or response or recovery. Absolutely put a 2-liner or a paragraph describing some work that you all have been wanting to do. If your network has already been doing great emergency management type of work, that's wonderful. Share what you've done and share a little bit about where you're going. We're really rating you on what you've done up until this point, though.
I know it's not about the application, but you said you do provide emergency preparedness workshops, right, as well for other folks, because I would like to if you would be able to help me to present to some parents or even some of the team workers that we have with my raise. Is that doable?
Yes,
Because I've been trying to make them aware.
outside of strengthening communities, yes, we provide general workshops for individuals, for groups, and for organizations.
Okay, thank you.
I don't see any additional questions in the chat. Did Sanasa or you, Mariah, get any direct?
None directly. I'm going to cast a small poll, Emily. So there should be a pop-up. There's just 3 short questions. We just want to kind of gauge. We do appreciate those of you who joined. Of the 18 of you, or excuse me, 17 of you that have joined, I think you represent 15 to 12 different coalitions. So we would love to hear from you. Are you realistically able to apply for this cohort? The second one is how many member organizations are in your network and coalition? And the other one is, will your network need to wait till summer of 2023 to apply for cohort 4? So we've gotten 4 responses so far. If the other 7 folks are able to see this pop up, we would love for you to participate. We'll give it another 20 seconds. And if there's any questions, absolutely please unmute yourself and go ahead and ask.
Do we have a question?
Go ahead.
1 hour coalition is like virtual, but they're in another state. Would we still be able to use them? Because we meet with them often as well. They provide a lot of virtual services for people.
You would be the member organization or the member lead of all of the cohort. So if they're a member organization that participates virtually and they're one of the 3 or 4 member organizations, that's totally fine. All of our program is virtual for the first cycle. So we do have that flexibility.
Okay, so it's okay if I add them into the application as well, right? As far as the services they do provide.
If they're a member organization, yes, you can add them.
When you say member organization, what do you mean?
A network for us is defined of multiple member organizations. So other participating organizations that make up that coalition / network.
Okay, I think I kind of get it. Okay, thank you.
Hello, I have another question, please. My organization has branches. Is it best for in different locations?
Miss Mari, we're not able to hear you clearly.
Oh no, I don't know what to do.
I don't know where your microphone may be, or if you're connected through a headphone.
But take another question and I'll look to see what's going on.
Okay. Okay.
Is this better?
Yes, ma'am. It's a little better.
Thank you, Ms. Mariah. I have a question. My organization has branches throughout New York City. Can an individual branch apply?
Can
Or
an
would it have to-
individual?
branch? Yeah.
I can't.
I
hear
believe
this.
she said branch, an individual branch.
Oh, okay. For the NAACP.
Mm-hmm.
And branch can apply, but you're applying as an actual network. So within that branch, let's say it's the Bronx NAACP branch,
Mm-hmm.
they're applying as the lead of an existing network. So it may be that they're affiliated with another sorority, and then they're affiliated with 3 other or 4 other social service organizations. But they cannot apply as we are just one organization. That's not what we're looking for. And this is not for just you, Ms. Mari. For everybody, we're not looking for just one organization. We're looking for networks and coalitions for cohort 3. So we did have 11 people respond, and thank you for that. In that, I see that most people have more than 2 member organizations, which is great. One person mentioned just 1. But think about, is it NAACP Bronx? Are they meeting faithfully with 3 other different organizations?
Gotcha.
We also are not in the space where we can support folks who are just launching a network or coalition. We needed to have been in existence for at least 2 years. So we don't run into hiccups of having trouble convening, and we won't be able to navigate that throughout this process.
Understood. Thank you.
Yes, ma'am. So I don't mind silence. Silence is sometimes good thinking space. So we'll hold the silence here. And I'll come back on about 40 seconds. And if no one else has any questions, we'll wrap it up from there. Okay, so we'll stop there. Emily, Sanasa, are there any closing remarks, or Jill, that you have before we close out here?
I would just like to say, for everyone who joined us today, feel free to reach out to us individually as well. If you have lingering questions, you're able to resubmit your application like we mentioned, but if you just have one or two lingering questions about applying prior to submitting, feel free. We can provide feedback, but if it's just a general question about how to attach a file or anything of that nature, like I said, we can include all of that information post this session.
And I wanted to add that I think you all have access to the resources we shared. This is including the info sessions. If there is anything you wish to go back to, you have the recording. And also, as Emily mentioned, you can reach out to us with the community preparedness email, and we'll be able to assist you.
I would just add that our agency is closed for Thanksgiving, but if you have questions on Friday or tomorrow, please reach out to that email.
Yes, we will absolutely send the recording for this session. Maybe give us till tomorrow. Yeah, 3 of the 4 of us will be working. We thank you all for your time. Again, as Emily has said, as Jill has said, as Sanasa said, reach out to us. We can't give you feedback, but we can provide clarification. We are here for you. We do have a good turnout of applications already. The deadline is set for Friday, December 2nd. It's not close of business. So if you are someone that's, oh my goodness, it's 11 p.m. on Friday at December 2nd, go ahead and submit. It will still be available for you to submit. So we appreciate you all. I got some private messages of folks who said, hey, I'm going to apply, and I'm smiling very big behind my mask. So thank you for coming. Thank you for asking all the questions. Thank you for asking the clarifying questions as well. And if after the info session in this, you still have questions, you know we are here for you. We are available for you today, tomorrow, and Friday. So thank you so much. Have a safe Thanksgiving if you celebrate. Have a great, safe time this week. Take care, everyone.